what's about to happen.
The wait is over.
You wanna see something cool?
You ready?
Right behind you.
It's the single greatest superhero movie ever made.
Time to take the gloves off.
I could do this all day.
Captain America Civil War. Rated PG-13. Everywhere Friday.
Hello, I'm the Universal Critic. I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. My more faithful viewers will recall my review of Batman vs. Superman, which tried to pull off an epic superhero battle with minimal success, mostly because it tried copying the Marvel crossover formula without really understanding why that was such a success. Thankfully, Marvel Studios themselves still remember what makes that formula work, and thus have created a truly epic crossover fight in today's film, Captain America Civil War. Loosely based on the Marvel comic of the same name, Civil War focuses on the Avengers, particularly Iron Man and Captain America, played again by Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, coming into conflict with each other over their place in society and the consequences of their actions in the previous films. Specifically, the issue is whether or not the Avengers should operate independently or be subject to government oversight. Tensions come to a head when Captain America's former sidekick Bucky Barnes, played by Sebastian Stan, is brainwashed into committing several severe terrorist acts. While Cap isn't willing to abandon his friend, Iron Man sees this as a betrayal, and soon the two sides are at each other's throats. The single biggest improvement over Batman vs. Superman is that the conflict between the two feels natural. Tony Stark and Steve Rogers aren't fighting just because they're being manipulated by some supervillain. It's mostly because they have differing worldviews due to their differing experiences. Steve is an all-American soldier boy from the 1940s, full of idealism and a can-do, no-man-left-behind attitude. By contrast, Stark is a very modern, somewhat cynical businessman. He's very pragmatic and is also terrified of losing people close to him given what he's gone through in the last few movies. This is a very believable and human conflict, and you're never fully with or against either one of them, which is exactly what Dawn of Justice tried to do, but really didn't pull off. That's not to say that bringing this story to the big screen is by any means easy. All of the Marvel movies, especially those revolving around Captain America and Iron Man, are very closely tied together, so you might want to check out the previous few films in the series to get a refresher about everything that's happened so far, just in case. That being said, the film manages to balance its many characters and plot threads pretty well thanks to expert pacing. Believe me, there is so much going on and so many people to introduce and reintroduce that it takes a good 45 minutes before the main narrative even really kicks into gear. But the film never feels dull or slow because it's all character-driven and it rarely sinks into just dry exposition to fill the audience in on what's going on. And speaking of the characters, the leads, both old and new, do a fine job. The Avengers really managed to capture the human drama behind this conflict, which keeps it from feeling like a hollow excuse just to have a constant stream of action. As for the new characters, the standouts for me are Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther and Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Holland is probably the closest to the source of the three versions of Spider-Man we've seen on the big screen. He's a dorky, super intelligent, chatterbox teenager, a fact which the movie has a great deal of fun with, by the way, and there's hardly a scene with him in it that doesn't conjure up multiple laughs. Boseman really captures both the regal side of the Black Panther character while still showing the naivete and recklessness of his young age, and he is the character I most look forward to seeing developed further in the future. As for the entire premise of this movie, I confess that I only have a passing bit of knowledge regarding the Civil War arc in the comics, but from what I've gathered, this movie benefits quite a bit from being a rather loose adaptation. See, in the original storyline, the government wants all superhumans, humans with super abilities, to register themselves so that they can be easily monitored and tracked. Long story short, Steve Rogers hates it, Tony Stark likes it, and then they immediately go blood-hungry for each other and end up destroying God knows how many innocent people in the process. Yeah, if that's not going out of character to serve the plot, I don't know what is. Overall, I give Captain America Civil War a high big screen rating. It's an exciting yet thoughtful look at what happens when those in power don't get along, not just with the authorities, but with each other. I'm the Universal Critic. I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. Goodbye.